motherfucker. Money be green. Money feel like money. That shit look green to you?
Well, welcome to the Mandatory, another edition of Money Be Green. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you like the content, if you've already been rocking with us. Thank you so much. Also follow us on our social media channels. We're at the Mandatory TKO. Bryan, let's get right into it. Edgar Berlanga is a minus 550 straight up on the money line, and he's going up against what you said if you listen to us on the audio side, which you can find us, Padraig McCrory is a plus 340 straight up on the money line. How are you betting this one? And do you feel like the line is fair?
The line's not fair. I think there's real upset potential here, as I have the Puerto Rican flags and Puerto Rican boxing gloves behind me. Listen, I've been covering Edgar Berlanga on and off for most of his career. Like, I've mentioned this before, but La Cultura documentary that I helped, that I was a correspondent for and produced, which is on YouTube at Backpack Broadcasting with Dexter Henry, my guy, our guy. Edgar Berlanga was one of the featured boxers that we followed ahead of the Puerto Rican Day Parade, where he had one of his 16 first-round knockouts to start his career in 2018. And yeah, he looked like a star then. He looked like he was going to be on his way. Not long after that, Top Rank came along, noticed something, and began marketing him as the next Puerto Rican star. He has been, I think he's a star in terms of like intrigue, just his look, the power that he does possess, which we started to see more of in his last fight again. But he hasn't performed like one. He hasn't performed like one as of late. Since the streak ended, 5 straight decision victories. I think you would call 4 of them unimpressive, and times that you could see him getting exposed. I think this is another worrisome challenge for me. McCrory's pretty good, and actually, as a promotional B-side, he has 2 wins and 2 knockouts in enemy territory in his career. Like, this is not a challenge where Edgar Berlanga should be seen as a favorite, like, by and large, this wide, like 5-1. I'm actually quite worried about even putting him in a parlay on the money line, because I legitimately think, it's teetering. And this is one of these fighters that, if something doesn't change in terms of, I don't know if it's preparation, just overall development, you could see the loss coming. And I've joked in the past, like, yeah, this is someone who you could look up and at some point in his career when he's like 32, 33, and he's like 26-3 with 20 knockouts. And you're like, damn, remember when we thought he was going to be a star and a future champion? He needs to win this fight, because McCrory is also ranked number 3 by the WBA. So even the prediction part of this sort of scares me, but I do have a couple of things that I'm probably going to take on this fight.
All right. So, yeah, you make some really good points there, but how are you going to be betting this fight as well?
I'll tell you what, I'm not picking a side definitively. I just can't do it on this fight. I just can't do it. So the bet that I really like is one prominent book has this: Edgar Berlanga to score a knockdown at minus 108. I think that's something that I'm going to walk away with in this fight and feel good about it, because I do think that even in his last performance against Jason Quigley, where he scored 4 knockdowns and eked out a decision because he lost some rounds in the middle, although the scorecards are pretty wide, he scored knockdowns in round 3, 5, and 2 in round 12. And it looked pretty dicey up until that round 12. And to his credit, Edgar was like, at the end of the fight, hey, man, like, I want to be able to do that all the time. Why couldn't I do that for all 12 rounds? And realistically, that pace would be ridiculous, but I understand what he's saying. Maybe he goes into the lab and actually comes back and has worked on his defense and, has picked his shots better and it gets better at cutting off the ring. But again, crafty challenger, I don't want to pick a side here. Like, I just don't want to. And I'm going to take Edgar Berlanga to score a knockdown minus 108. Edgar Berlanga scored a knockdown minus 108 because I think he could score a knockdown and lose the fight. I think he could score a knockdown and win the fight. I think he scores a knockdown. And minus 108 is actually really good odds for that. Like, I wanted to get like either guy to score a knockdown, but that was minus like 160, 170. So I was just like, at that point, no, because you could also see if Edgar Berlanga loses, you could also see him getting dropped. He's been dropped before, and you could kind of see him just getting caught. So yeah, I like Berlanga to score a knockdown here, and I think somebody's going to get dropped in this fight.
Yeah, I think it was the fight against Caceres that he got dropped, and everyone was like, whoa. I've mentioned this before. Edgar Berlanga, 16 straight first-round knockouts, if I'm not mistaken. After that, he was just set up to fail, because if we did not see a first-round knockout, we were like, yo, he had a bad performance, because what were we saying after those 16 straight first-round knockouts? We need to see more. We need to see him go the distance. Dude goes the distance, and we're like, okay, we saw him go the distance. Now let's get back to those first-round knockouts, Berlanga. And he never did that. 5 straight decisions, and now we're waiting for him to have that type of performance. And this is a fight, Bryan, where I think he needs a knockout, right? We talk about the cachet that Berlanga has to his name, and I think he is a superstar. And I think if he gets a knockout in this fight, we're kind of talking about him in that light again, because he is a superstar in the sense that he brings out the stars. You know, Fat Joe is about to be at this fight, okay? He's going to do something. He's
Tracy
gonna,
Morgan, yeah.
Like, he's a New York guy, and he has the cachet. Every time he's at MSG for a Knicks game, you see Berlanga on the TV, and, you know, he's an exciting fighter. But he just hasn't performed really well within his last 5 fights. Decently last time, but this definitely is a step up in competition, which is crazy to say with the McCrory, because a lot of people haven't even really seen him fight. This is a guy that is undefeated. He does have power, 9 knockouts only if you take a look at his record. But also McCrory, the one thing that I think is interesting about him is he is kind of a pressure fighter. He likes to be the pressure guy in the ring. He has a decent jab. I wouldn't say he has the best jab. And what's
He doesn't
the one
jab
thing?
a ton.
No, but what's the one thing that Edgar Berlanga struggled with? I'll ask you. What do you think it's the one thing he struggles with in the ring?
Jabs, opposing jabs.
Counterpunching, slick counterpunching, not very good with lateral movement. So if I'm McCrory, I'm going to want to do that in the ring. If I take a look at who has the better jab, Edgar Berlanga has the better jab. Skill-wise, I'm kind of giving it to Edgar Berlanga, because as much as we talk about his punch selection, I think it's gotten better. And that's what we wanted to see from Edgar Berlanga. I think his punch selection has definitely gotten better. And I think he has the better jab. And I think whoever has the better jab in this fight hopefully sets up a big shot. And I think it might be Edgar Berlanga in this fight, because McCrory does not have the best defense. He's there to get hit. And that's also why I think they picked him for this fight. It is a step up, but he gets hit a lot. And I think Edgar Berlanga is going to have a chance in this fight to get the knockdown. And I think because he really, really needs the knockout, I think he's going to get it in this fight. Just because McCrory is defensively irresponsible. Like, he's just there to get hit. He's going to get hit. He's going to take big shots. And Edgar Berlanga has the power. And this is the fight that I think we are all waiting for him to have, because what is next after? Jaime Munguia, maybe a Canelo Alvarez, right? So, listen, I think this is a very big fight for a guy like Edgar Berlanga. And I think if he gets the knockout or stoppage, then we're talking about him a little bit more. And luckily, he's fighting a guy that, and I'm no disrespect to McCrory, right? Because he is a good fighter. This is his first time that he's going to be fighting in the States, right? Which I think is huge. In Orlando crowd, which is heavy Puerto Rican. As you know, Bryan, you were there for the Amanda Serrano last fight.
Orlando is one of our, that's one of our spots.
So this is not enemy territory. Essentially, McCrory is going to be in 2 different countries at the same damn time. He's going to be in the States and he's going to be in Puerto Rico. Okay, so it's going to be tough for him. Like, how you know what I'm saying? So
I love that.
Yeah, so this is a very tough fight for him. Who comes to a different country ends up fighting in 2 damn countries against a guy that's favored, against a guy that needs the knockout. And we talk about this all the time. This is the fight where Edgar Berlanga gets it. I took a look on the books. It's a plus 148 for him to get the knockout TKO. And if McCrory wasn't so defensively irresponsible, if he wasn't there to just get hit in the face all the goddamn time, I probably would say this would be a decision victory for a guy like Edgar Berlanga, because I do think skill-wise, I give him the edge. I really do, because I think Berlanga has gotten better. I just think that he faces so much criticism because, number one, he was pegged, and this is so unfortunate, pegged to be the next Puerto Rican boxing superstar after the last guy was Miguel Cotto, which is some big shoes to fill. We know it's going to be Xander Zayas. You know what I mean? He brings out the stars. He's from New York. Like, he dresses like wavy. He has everything that checks off the boxes, but now he's not getting the knockout. And people are like, what's going on? Is he a superstar? That's a lot of pressure. And despite the fact that he bit someone in the ring not too long ago and had to serve a suspension, listen, this guy has all the attributes to be great. And I think we're going to see the knockout on this one. So I like to place my money on him getting the knockout TKO at plus 148. And I think there's lots of value there.
You did an exceptional job of convincing me to try to bet this knockout. That's honestly one of your best Money Be Green performances.
Oh, thank you.
That was phenomenal. I will add this.
I had to step it up because I know he's Puerto Rican, and Bryan like goes hard for every Puerto Rican that we talk for on this show, which is great because you're supposed to support your fellow countrymen, right? Like, you're supposed to do that. So,
however, I could be hard on them because this is the thing with Edgar. It's like, the star quality is there, just needs to shape up a couple of things, but. This is a dangerous weight class, but I also think, to your point, you win this fight emphatically. You position yourself for Canelo Alvarez in September. Like, realistically, that is really on the table, in my opinion, or at the very least, Jaime Munguia.
And that's the fight I'd rather see. That's the fight I'd rather see.
Because he's not beating Canelo Alvarez right now.
No, and I think it's kind of unfair for Berlanga to jump from McCrory to Canelo Alvarez, right? Yes. And anytime I see Mexico versus Puerto Rico, I kind of want it to be fair.
That. And
I want it to be fair. That's the best rivalry, like one of the best rivalries in sports, straight up.
I've chronicled this on my YouTube channel. Like, Edgar Berlanga and Jaime Munguia, I don't know two fighters that are more perfect for each other at this stage of their careers. I think they kind of almost need each other in this division. Like,
they mirror each other.
That has to be. And Munguia, after his fight against John Ryder, exceptional performance. I did not think he was going to do John Ryder like that. You did, to your credit. I'm
a little bit biased though with the Mexican boxers, though. You know what I'm saying? So,
but Munguia versus Berlanga, if Berlanga delivers and gets the knockout, which I want to talk about in a second because there's some interesting movement betting wise. That will be the perfect fight to happen next, Berlanga versus Munguia, at some point, summer, fall, whatever. And I think the winner of that should probably position themselves for, maybe it's Canelo, maybe it's whatever, but we could talk about that another time. I also don't know who'd win that fight. I think Munguia would be the favorite, but I also think it may depend on how Berlanga potentially gets this done. Now, real quick, earlier this week and even late last week, Berlanga to win by knockout was like plus 220 in some books. He was like minus 110 by decision. I'm not even making this up. There's been so much movement. Now by knockout, he's plus 120 in at least one prominent book, plus 130 in another one. Yesterday by decision, it was plus 140, plus 130. So it's completely the knockout. And for audio listeners, I'm raising my left hand and the right hand is underneath. But the left hand here, this is where hold on, I'm gonna land a plane.
The most terrible thing that I've seen me done on this show. This is the right hand. This is the left hand.
I'm gonna land a plane. I'm gonna land a plane. Okay. So this is where the juice was. You're making me laugh. Stop it. This is where the knockout was in terms of value, and this is where the decision was. And now it's going completely in this
direction. My God. Right? Oh my God. Oh my God. You guys see that movement? Oh my God.
You're a jerk. But basically, like, it's been, and even on, and for whatever reason, as that's happening, the over-under has not moved at all. The over-under has been 10.5. It's been 10.5. It's been 10.5. Over is minus 135 in one prominent book. Under is plus 100. If you're going to bet the knockout, either side, if you're going to bet Berlanga by knockout, you should bet the under 10.5, because plus 100 that's reasonable. I actually might do that along with my bet for Edgar Berlanga to score a knockdown. TBD on the knockout. I mean, I've been thinking about it. He needs it, but I just don't know. Like, I've bet him to get knockouts in this non-knockout streak that he suddenly put together, and he hasn't done it. Why do I want to get burned again? But to your point, I think he should be able to do it. But we'll see. He doesn't always do what he should. It's part of the problem.
And that's true. And I definitely want to see what type of performance he has in this one. I'm hoping it's a very good one. And I'm hoping Fat Joe is ringside. I don't know what song he's going to come out to, but Edgar Berlanga is going to do some wavy ass shit as he makes his entrance down there in, I guess, America, Rico.
I also didn't love that Matchroom Boxing posted a video for like Fight Week or whatever. Edgar Berlanga is like rapping in his Lambo, driving it, whatever, and I didn't see a seatbelt. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm just washed now. But like, bro, come
No,
on,
you be safe. Yeah, we
like
want you to be safe.
learn, man. Like I did, like maybe he had one on and it was only around the waist, but I didn't see anything around the shoulder. So come on, bro.
I will say one thing though. When I sit in the back seat, I'm not wearing a seatbelt.
Oh, that's different. That's
You know what I mean? But he's 26 years old. Like he's 26 years old. So he was just,
If I get in a cab and I don't like the way they're driving, I put the seatbelt on immediately.
See, I just like hate being in cabs because they're gross.
I mean, look,
and I'm not putting a seatbelt on me. Like I'm barely like touching anything while I'm up in there. You know what I mean?
Having a car in New York is not. I don't have one. Like a lot of people don't. It's just not a place you want to have a car if you live in like, New York City.
I don't think you need it either.
Queens, you could have a car in certain places, but where I am in Queens, parking is too trash to not doing it.
This podcast has turned from leveling out things to talking about parking and everything like that. But we want to know here at TheMandatory how you're betting this fight. Let us know. Drop your slips below if you're going to be betting the Edgar Berlanga KO TKO. And if you're watching this internationally, let us know if you're going to bet on McCrory and if we're sleeping on him a little bit. But nonetheless, Bryan, I'm going to let you have the final thoughts before we get up and out of here.
The undercard is also very interesting for this fight. I do want to shout that out on the way out here. Andy Cruz is returning. That's always fun. He was a minus 10,000 favorite earlier in the week, so I would bet on him. But Andy Cruz is on that card. Yanquiel Rivera. Speaking of Puerto Ricans, he's somebody who you should be excited about. Yanquiel Rivera, very good. He is on this card as well, and there are some others also. And then, Takuma Inoue on a separate card is going to be fighting actually tonight. That's going to be or very early Saturday morning. So, we're doing that. And we are going to return with the post-fight show. Have we had a post-fight show this year?
Yeah, we have. We have had a post-fight show.
Okay. So this is not our first one.
We had Teofimo Lopez, dude.
Oh, that was 2 weeks ago. Silly me. Look, I've done so much shit lately. So have you. So
that feels like a year ago, actually.
Everything.
That feels like a year ago. So
we are having a post-fight show. Edgar Berlanga, and McCrory. We'll see what happens, but we're gonna have a post-fight show, and we're gonna have more post-fight shows because we have some post-fight show-worthy fights, and hopefully our schedules will align with some of these things because we're busy people otherwise. But yeah, continue to support the show. Continue to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, donate, all those great things, and help us out because at the end of the day, this is a business. But post-fight show Saturday, we will see you then.